All right, guys, we'll start today's show shortly. A lot to cover on today's program, guys. You've counted upon the I Love CVille show as your source for all the happenings and comings and goings and news in the Central Virginia area. A 300-person market, 300,000-person market, and we are rising to the challenge. When today's talk show starts, we have a lot of content to relay to you, including reaction from last night's school board meeting. We have some reaction and content to get to from Greene County, as well as the local government in Greene County is going to refund taxpayers $1.7 million. We will talk the rebranding of Meriwether Lewis Elementary today on the program. The Daily Progress is now covering the Champion Hospitality Group story. We've been talking about that for months on this Fair and Fine talk show. And today, Legacy Media is highlighting the fact that Champion is a bit behind on paying its vendors. We will also introduce the Central Virginia community to Dr. Sean Pilati. Dr. Pilati is going to join us to talk health, good habits, a great diet, and quality of life. So many topics and more on the Friday edition of today's Fine and Fair talk show that is legitimately live across every social media platform known to mankind. Johnny Ornalis just shared the show. He's the king of Mexican cuisine. He owns Guadalajara and El Mariachi in Zion's Crossroads. Friends of the program, perhaps thinking about moving to Zion's Crossroads in the near future. Maybe someone in the studio over here. So a lot we're going to cover. Folks in Crozet, welcome to the broadcast. Downtown Charlottesville, welcome to the show. Arlington, McLean, Williamsburg, welcome to the broadcast. Reed Jameson Paul, friend of the program. Reed, where are you watching right now? Is it Vermont? Is it Maine? Where are you watching the show? Nags Head in North Carolina, welcome to the show. Atlanta, welcome to the program. Louisa County and Orange County, welcome to the talk show. A lot we're going to cover on today's program. Put your thoughts in the comment section and we will relay them live on air. We will start this program in T-minus 10 seconds. You feeling good, Judah? You have a fan in Reed who's watching the program.
In what?
Reed is watching the program. He's a fan of you.
All right.
All right, we can rock and roll when you're ready.
Quiet on the set.
Guys, good Friday afternoon. I'm Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille show. Thank you kindly for joining us live across every social media platform, guys, on the only network in the Commonwealth of Virginia that's bringing content to you on a daily basis and scheduled talk time slots. I mean, we are literally doing the television and radio model, but we're doing it in 2023 where we live on our smartphones. And when that content is ubiquitous and insightful and on point like our content is, well, you see why the network has gone viral and is booming in popularity. Today's program, thanks to the folks at the Clifton in Keswick. The Clifton in Keswick is a hotel, a boutique one. It's a place for happy hour. It's a place for dinner and date night. It's a place for wedding and events and just magical and memorable experiences. The Clifton in Keswick. Today's talk show is going to be pretty dynamic. We have reaction from last night's school board meeting that has undoubtedly captivated much of Central Virginia and certainly the lion's share of Albemarle County. We're going to talk about the rebranding of Meriwether Lewis Elementary School. Meriwether Lewis Elementary School is literally no more. The new brand is Ivy Elementary School. And a lot of parents, a lot of voters, and a lot of taxpayers are scratching their head and say, what is going on today? We'll talk about that today on the program. We'll talk Dr. Matthew Haas, the superintendent of schools, who in the meeting last night characterized the bathrooms at Albemarle High School as gang bathrooms. Legitimately, that was his terminology. We'll talk on today's show Greene County refunding taxpayers $1.7 million, a surplus in a local government doing right by voters and constituents. That's something we need to champion. When local government returns government money back to taxpayers, we need to put that on a pedestal because you don't see that every day. We'll talk UVA sports. The Wahoos and Tony Bennett's bunch travel to Florida State on Saturday, tomorrow, for a 4 o'clock tip-off in Tallahassee against the Seminoles. The University of Virginia has got a tough little stretch ahead of itself. We'll highlight that stretch on today's talk show. We'll talk with Dr. Sean Pilati on today's program. The dude is smart. The dude is likable. And he's going to highlight on today's show healthy habits, strong diets, positive diets, and the value proposition of prioritizing quality of life through doing what's right for your body. That topic on today's show. Judah Wickhauer, you will see him on the program, a man who has a life-size poster currently available for purchase on iloveseville.com for $75. Heck, pay the extra $10 and he will autograph it for you and maybe send you a personalized picture as well. I kid. Judah, you would do that, right, for the viewers and listeners?
Only if I got the $10.
Only if he gets the $10. All right, Leslie, I see on the feed that you want to buy a Judah Wickhauer poster. If you want the signature on it, that goes directly to Judah for his beer budget. All right, the lead of the show, though, has to be the school board meeting. I want to riff for a little bit, and then we'll weave you in on a two-shot, Judah. I'll highlight this yet again. Mary McIntyre, who's a literacy specialist within Albemarle County Public Schools, live tweeted the school board meeting yesterday. She does a fantastic job of covering school board meetings in Albemarle County. I encourage you to follow Mary McIntyre on Twitter and her live tweet threads of school board meetings. Yesterday's was pretty darn dynamic. You had a lot of public commenters yesterday. You had public commenters that were parents on both sides of the school resource officer debate. School resource officers are now atop of the priority list for many. And some folks are in favor and some folks are against. Yesterday, Dr. Haas, on the record, the superintendent of schools, said it's time to get the school resource officers back in the hallways, and they're going to start with Albemarle High School. That is undoubtedly the school that has the most turmoil or trouble right now. The largest school by population and the school that's the most diverse by demographic is Albemarle High School. And Dr. Haas has legitimately characterized some of that difficulty, including yesterday in the school board meeting, calling bathrooms at Albemarle High School legitimately gang bathrooms. Those are the phrases he utilized for some of the bathrooms at AHS. He called them gang bathrooms because of the large portion of the school population, students that utilize them at once. I was surprised that he utilized that phrase, gang bathrooms. And he said because of large bodies of kids that are going in and out of the bathrooms at one time. Here's the challenge, and if you watch this program, you know I am of the party of common sense, the mindset of common sense. And from my standpoint, if you have a school resource officer at the entryway of public schools, that's going to dissuade students from potentially causing trouble. Bathrooms are an interesting proposition because they go unsupervised by cameras and by teachers and by administrators. Revamping the footprint of the bathroom at the largest public school in Albemarle County might be necessary. And when the superintendent of the school basically says large bodies of kids are going in at one time to utilize the bathrooms unsupervised, that's going to lead to trouble. Do I think the school resource officer is the end-all, be-all, the perfect fit, the only solution needed to turning the tide that is trouble at Albemarle High School? No, I do not. But I do think it's one aspect of the solution. It's one aspect of it. Last night's meeting was It was a meeting that characterized the frustration in Albemarle County currently. You have parents on both sides of this issue that are really concerned. You have really concerned parents, and as one myself, I understand where they're coming from. I thought the likelihood of getting school resource officers at Albemarle County High School, Albemarle High School, was a slam dunk, and I still think it is. And I understand there's groups that are speaking out against it. But it's been a 2-year period of trying no school resource officers in the hallway, and it's backfired. It's time to admit when we're wrong and to put them back in. I want to get Judah Wickower in the mix here, the director of this Fine and Fair talk show, in a 2-shot. I was surprised the superintendent called them gang bathrooms. I was surprised at the momentum on both sides of the topic, with parents in favor and against school resource officers, Judah.
Yeah.
I think the school board members realize the significance of what's happening now.
Yeah.
I still think they're distracted. For instance, it was very coincidental that at the same time they're talking about quality of life in the schools, they also spend a large chunk of the meeting on rebranding of Meriwether Lewis Elementary. Meriwether Lewis Elementary is now Ivy Elementary School.
So you're saying there's a bit of a disconnect?
Absolutely. You said it perfectly. I think there's a bit of a disconnect. I still think the communication with parents and voters and taxpayers and the administrators is not a fluid connection.
Right.
And to have the SRO debate at the same time you're having the rebranding debate for Meriwether Lewis, when 90% of the parents said keep the name the same,
Yeah.
shows it's a disconnect that's happening. First, good afternoon. Second, I value your opinion. Where do you want to begin on this topic?
I mean, it's a good thing that Dr. Haas is, I guess, I don't know what the word is, painting the picture with the correct brush. I mean, admitting that there's a problem. You know, they usually say that's the way to start fixing it, is to admit that there even is a problem. So I think it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, potentially. Let's see what materializes. Do you have a problem with Ivy Elementary School? I don't have a problem with the name Ivy Elementary School. My problem is the allocation of resources and the opportunity cost of time spent on
Discussing
rebranding
it and making the change and taking down everything that has the old name on it and buying new signs and new whatever you've got names on.
Any kind of branding, any kind of signage, any kind of gym clothes, any kind of call to action that has Meriwether Lewis Elementary School on it, now is going to need to change, and it's going to be Ivy Elementary School.
Yeah.
My problem is the time and the opportunity costs spent on rebranding, despite surveys from parents saying keep the name the same.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
Right.
And how this process was depicted to the community, where the process was encouraged, community feedback was encouraged from parents. The administration asked for feedback for parents on name changing.
Right.
But that feedback was ignored. That's another aspect of the problem I have here.
Yeah. Why bother to ask a question if you don't care what the answer is?
That's my point.
Why waste everyone's time? Why waste expectations where people are thinking that you actually care what they think, and then you go ahead and just follow your own, desires?
That's my point. And how do you parents feel? How do you feel, viewers and listeners of this talk show, when the largest line item on the Albemarle County jurisdictional budget, schools, and schools are the largest line item, 65% of Albemarle County's budget is allocated to schools. When the top dog of the schools, the superintendent, says to the community, we want your opinion on renaming these schools, and then survey results indicate that the name should not change on the schools, yet the administration decides to change those names anyway, do you not feel marginalized? Do you not feel you're utilized as a political pawn? Because that's what it seems like to me has happened. And in today's climate and ecosystem, we should be prioritizing academic performance and student safety ahead of rebranding. And that's not being done right now. It's not being done right now. Still, yesterday in the school board meeting, the superintendent indicated something needs to change at the largest school in the system, and that's Albemarle High School. And what looks like is going to change is police officers returning to the hallways. And you know what?
Or at least one.
What's that?
Or at least one.
Right.
Eventually.
And I want to commend the administration for admitting a mistake.
Yeah.
We hold them accountable, so let's commend them when they made a mistake. And they're admitting they made a mistake now.
Yeah.
What do you make of the new brand, and it's a brand, Ivy Elementary School?
I mean, I'm completely neutral. It means as much to me as Meriwether Lewis.
No opinion on it whatsoever.
I mean, should I? Is
I mean, it's a talk show, so you should have an opinion, but I don't want to force feed it to you. People are listening to us for an opinion.
Viewers, do you any of you have strong opinions about Ivy? I mean, it's just a word.
I mean, if we're gonna get to the point where we're naming schools like Ivy Elementary School, Belmont Elementary School, I'm not saying there's a Belmont yet. What's going to keep us from just saying like PS 13, how schools are named in Manhattan or in New York, where it's just public school and a number? I mean, if the new monikers for schools are as generic as Ivy, just go ahead and call them PS 10, PS 11, PS 12, PS 13, PS 14, and so on. That's basically what you've done.
You could say the same thing about roads. I mean, it would certainly make Charlottesville an easier place to navigate.
Basically, that's what they've done. Tom Stargill, the retired teacher, is watching the program. Tom Stargill says this: Dr. Haas's minute concession about school resource officers has done nothing to recognize his policies that have brought down the academics, demolished the SOL scores, and caused complete erosion of morale of teachers in all of Albemarle County public schools. These policies have been championed by the complete Albemarle County School Board from day one. A lot of truth to that. A lot of truth to that. Lisa Costello is watching the program. She says the board of parents pulls your kid out of public schools and puts them in private schools or wonderful home schools. Christian Light Education Curriculum in Harrisonburg, Virginia is an excellent curriculum at a very reasonable price. How many times do we need to continue to hear the public schools are detrimental to our children? Suzanne Daly says she's absolutely fed up. She leaves that comment on the feed, Suzanne Daly. She says, generally I'm completely done with filling out any surveys at ACPS because they never listen to the parents or what we want. Carol Thorpe says, did you ever share the information you received about rebranding on the show, or did I miss them? If you did share them, can you share them again? Nora Gaffney, welcome to the program. The data that I received on rebranding of the public schools was very incomplete, and I'm still waiting on data from the public schools themselves on that rebranding in totality. I only got partial data, which was also very concerning. I feel for the parents. Anonymous is commenting on Twitter. He says, Charlottesville City, the rebranding is happening as well. Venable and Clark are getting new, generic names. He says, I would not advocate today to name a school for either of them, but these schools have really poor performance metrics. The full attention of leadership should fall on performance of students, not performative virtue signaling. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. I do not advocate today naming schools after people who have some aspects of their past that are somewhat sketchy. But I also am a man who can prioritize levels of importance. And the most important levels of performance for schools in our area right now are getting kids to school on time with the school bus and making sure they perform well in the classroom from an SOL standpoint and from a grading standpoint, making sure they behave and follow the rules, and then getting them to their mom and dad safely when school is over. That's the priorities for schools. And when those priorities are not being done correctly, we should not be distracted from them. That's what's happening now. That's literally what's happening now. Thank you for those comments, viewers and listeners. Anything else you want to add to these?
I mean, if they're going with ivy, maybe they go plants for the rest of the schools. Ivy, oak.
Ivy is named obviously after Ivy, the area, and not a plant.
What's the area named after?
I don't think Ivy, the Ivy of Virginia, is named after Ivy, the plant.
It's not?
I wouldn't think so. I don't know for certain over there. Ivy Elementary School is named after Ivy, Virginia. Not ivy that grows on the walls of Wrigley Field.
Okay, but what's Ivy, Virginia named after?
You want to look that up? I don't have that exact answer. I would hope to God that Ivy, Virginia is not named after the plants that grow on walls and quickly spread. But if you give us that answer, we can both learn something from you. And while you give that answer, I'd like to relay the Greene County news to the people. You jump in whenever you're ready here. I'm going to relay this from the Free Enterprise Forum. Greene County, Virginia, which runs its jurisdiction in fiscally conservative fashion when it comes to spending taxpayer dollars, they voted on Tuesday to refund $1.7 million of 2022 personal property taxes to voters and citizens and taxpayers. This is from the Free Enterprise Forum. Mm-hmm. Greene County's Board of Supervisors is going to refund taxpayers $1.7 million in revenue associated with personal property taxes. I find it refreshing when a local government has a surplus of money and that local government chooses to give the surplus back to voters and taxpayers as opposed to finding a reason to spend the additional money. So many of our local governments have surpluses or pots of money that they don't know what to do with. And instead of giving that money back to taxpayers, they find a reason to spend it. And then the following year when doing their budget, they account for that surplus as if it was almost a line item in their budget, a routine line item. And for me, that's malpractice. If you don't need to spend the money, especially during a recession, especially when housing assessments are going up, gas prices are out of control, grocery bills are out of control, cost of living is getting very expensive. If you have an additional amount of money during budget season and you're a government official, you should be refunding that money back to voters, back to taxpayers, and not finding a reason to spend it. And Greene County did just that. They had $1.7 million extra in taxpayer dollars because personal property taxes on your vehicles went through the roof. And that $1.7 million, they said, we'll give it back to the voters. And I applaud them for doing that.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Charlottesville City and Albemarle County do the same.
Definitely.
Because Charlottesville City's got a surplus north of $25 million.
Wow.
And Charlottesville City is looking for a reason to spend that surplus of north of $25 million. And when you start spending surpluses, it starts becoming part of the budget moving forward. And when it starts becoming part of the budget moving forward, that's when you got to raise taxes. Reed Jamison Paul is watching in Charleston, South Carolina. Did you figure out what Ivy was named after?
Seems though it was named after Ivy Creek.
Ivy Creek? Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Jim Hingley watching the program. Jim Hingley introduced us to Donut Kitchen this morning. Thank you, Jim Hingley, for those fantastic donuts.
Yes, thank you, Jim.
And
delicious.
Juan Sarmiento, if you're watching the program, Juan Sarmiento is the chief technician of Charlottesville Albemarle Transit. I want to emphasize for a second day in a row, Juan, that you were absolutely correct. The Donut Kitchen is in the Food Lion Shopping Center, the Pantop Shopping Center, at the base of Pantops behind Toby's Pawn Shop. I initially thought it was in the Giant Shopping Center, but it is not. It's behind Toby's and in the Food Lion Shopping Center. Juan, you were 100% right. Jim Hingley, the Commonwealth's attorney, says this: after the arrival of the railroad in 1851, the rail stop at this location was known as Woodville Depot. By 1859, the name had changed to Ivy Depot, probably after Ivy Creek. The village's name was shortened to Ivy in the 1950s.
Yeah.
That's good stuff from Jim Hingley. I'm going to say thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim. Jim makes the program better. I very much respect that man. Dr. Sean Pallotti is going to join us in 3 minutes. Before we get to Dr. Pallotti to talk health, good habits, diet, and quality of life, did you see the article in the Daily Progress about Champion?
Yep.
Champion Hospitality Group. We've been talking about Champion Hospitality Group and some of the sketchiness that we've seen in that business for almost 2 months now. We've had employees from Champion Hospitality Group let us know that they got let go, they got pink slipped right before the holidays. We've had partners on the Champion Hospitality Group reach out to us and say that they're not getting paid by the ownership team, that they're way behind on their bills. We've had landlords that lease space to brands within the Champion Hospitality Group indicate to us that the group is way behind on rent. Okay? The Daily Progress writes a story about it. Have you noticed this week the Daily Progress has upped its game with what it's covering? It really has. What do you make of the Daily Progress finally jumping on the story of malpractice and sketchy finances and poor treatment of team members at the Champion Hospitality Group? What'd you make of that story?
Well, first of all, I don't think they addressed any of that in the story.
I thought the story was a little fluffy as well.
They were, they seemed like they were treating the story with kid gloves, treating the Champion Hospitality Group with kid gloves, and I think that's fair. If they don't have reliable information refuting any of what they were told, then I'm glad that they're not making up a story. They're writing with the material that they have and the quotes that they have, and I respect that.
I think there's a lot of truth to that. What the reporting for the Daily Progress did not do was interview team members, staff on the front lines, people that lost their jobs. What the reporting in the Daily Progress did not do was interview vendors who are behind on pay, landlords. They quoted the PR spokesman for Champion and Hunter Smith, and that's it.
Of course, we don't know that they didn't go looking for quotes from vendors or former employees.
From what I could tell from the message boards, had they have reached out to former employees, there was a vast amount of former employees that were willing to comment on the record. A vast amount from what we saw on the message boards. Now, it's 2023, it's a new year, and a fresh start. I'd love to see Hunter and Champion turn the ship around. Pay the people they owe money to, vendors. Make sure that their partnerships with their operators of their respective brands and businesses are in order. I'm talking the Laura Fawners out there. I've been told the partnership with Craig Hartman at the Ice House has been dissolved. I feel tremendous empathy for Laura Fawner at Siren.
I wonder how behind well, it's not quite what I'm trying to get at, but if you notice in the story, they mentioned that Champion Hospitality Group still had partnerships with Siren and
With the Ice House.
Ice House, yeah.
I've been told the Ice House is completely dissolved. And if you go to the Ice House, you see the Champion brand completely scrubbed from the business, which is an indication that that partnership's been dissolved. I'm curious to know what the partnership is like with Laura Fauner and Siren at the old Shabine location. Whether that partnership still exists. I think the reporting with the progress could have been a little bit more in depth on those topics. Still, I commend the Daily Progress, and I commend Sydney Schuler, who was the reporter of this story, for really talking local news.
Yeah.
This was a topic that's been on the radar for almost 2 months, and it's finally getting some play in legacy media. It's been a topic on this show, and we influence the news cycle, but for it to now penetrate legacy media is good.
Yeah.
2023 Hunter, fresh start, dot the I's and cross the T's, get everyone up to speed with payment, and do well by your team members, please. Because this is a storyline that could follow you for a long time. And everything I just said there was fair. Anything you want to add before we welcome Sean to the show?
No, I'd like to see the same thing. I'd like to see the Champion Hospitality Group step up and show some integrity with how they treat their everyone that they deal with, from the vendors down to the lowliest dishwasher.
Well said. Very well said. We'll go to a 3-shot studio cam. Sean, shows yours whenever you're ready. We'll get you on set here. Comments already coming in here on this Fair and Fine talk show as Dr. Sean Pilati is in the house. He is a team member at Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine. We had a chance to get to know him a little bit last week, and we're excited to introduce him to the community at large. You have quite a few people watching on the talk show here. First, Sean, if you could, introduce yourself to everybody that's watching the program.
Sure thing. Hey, I am Dr. Sean Pilati. Yes, I am new to the team, Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine. I've been in practice as a family chiropractor for the last 23 years. And in that 23 years, I've done 1.3 million adjustments.
That's a lot.
That's more than most people, most body mechanics will have in 3 careers. So in doing that, necessity is the mother of invention. And all that overuse injury, bursitis, tendonitis, carpal tunnel, rotator cuff. I'm also a former Marine, and I served with HMX-1, the Presidential Helicopter Squadron, so I was security guard there at the bottom of the helicopter.
Nice.
As a young guy. A lot of wear and tear on my body, and I was in pain a long time, and so I'm really excited to join the team at Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine, because I don't know if your listeners know, but he really has brought something very special to your community here. And the options you have, Scott has actually created really a 5-step system that is special to his practice in this area in integrated medicine and regenerative medicine. And I've been involved in the field since 2016, and one of the forerunners here in Virginia in that field. So he's doing some really great things. But that's my story. I was in pain for a long, long time. And this field of medicine completely healed me. So I can run half marathons. Before I started with a lot of these therapies, I couldn't put over 25 pounds over my head. I can put my full body weight over my head.
Yeah, this dude's jacked right now. I want to give him some props here.
Thanks.
I want to embarrass him here a little bit. This dude's got the fitness of a 25-year-old over here. He walked in for the first time to the studio last week. I'm like, who is this jacked dude coming in here?
Wow, man.
And it's Dr. Sean. I mean, you're a diesel.
Wow.
You get after it in the gym, do you not?
I do. And I'm actually a little bit off right now. I actually have some tendonitis in my right elbow. I saw Sly Stallone doing 20 pull-ups with 90 pounds hanging from him.
You
and I was
that?
like, if a 75-year-old guy can do that, I can do that.
That's a perfect conversation point.
Yeah.
I'm watching Sylvester Stallone and Tulsa King. It's a Paramount Plus show. And this guy is over 70 years old, and he's still...
I think he's 75.
He's 75, and he's still jacked.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's a specimen. How is a 75-year-old man like Sylvester Stallone, I mean, even Schwarzenegger is still diesel.
Well,
How they maintaining this?
what you're seeing when you went, did you see the new Top Gun?
I did.
Okay.
Dude,
So-
the volleyball scene at the beach?
Right.
With
So-
Tom Cruise?
So, Tom Cruise, Tiger Woods, Peyton Manning, anyone, Ronaldo, they know about the things we're talking about today, and they're living proof. Tom Cruise does not look like a 60-year-old guy.
No.
So obviously, those are the kind of people you want to follow. So if you think I'm jacked at like 50, then great, because these are the people, these are my mentors, those are the people I follow. And I was listening to you speak earlier. I love the show.
Thank you.
Great. You do
Thank
a
you.
really great job.
Thank you.
And I love it.
How are Cruise and Stallone and Tiger Woods? I mean, you bring up CR7 Ronaldo. Ronaldo is 38, and this guy's keeping up with like 22, 23-year-olds.
Yeah, he's jumping with a vertical almost the same as Michael Jordan.
That's what I'm saying
I mean,
here.
yeah.
And he's 38 years old.
Yeah.
And if you've ever played a sport like soccer or basketball, when you're 38, Father Time is usually winning.
You're done.
And Father Time is not beating CR7 right now. He is still competing against 22, 23-year-olds. In fact, he scored a goal in this past World Cup here. Are these guys, what they're doing, is it completely natural what they're doing? What do these guys do? Talk to us.
No, it's not. They are using performance enhancing things.
Strategies?
They're strategies. They're
Yeah.
using PRP, they're using cellular products, they're using peptides, and even many of those with competitive bodybuilders, and it's permissible within reason. So even the Olympic committees and stuff, they're constantly reevaluating this, and the science is always improving. Just it's there's something new, sexy, cutting edge all the time. It will be different a year or two from now. There's just always something else. But the main thing that we're talking about today and with these gentlemen is momentum. It's all about momentum. And once you get to be that age, like Sly Stallone, Mark Wahlberg, like all these guys, you just can't be out of the gym for a year. So if you're listening to my voice right now and you're 60 years old and maybe you had COVID last year and now you missed the gym and you lost momentum for a year, that's really hard to get that momentum back. Maybe you were very consistent for 10 prior years to that. So that's the key. These therapies allow you to be maybe down for a month, like my elbow. Like I just had a cellular product injected into my elbow. It's already doing better now. With that investment of time, money, and energy, it's definitely cautions me not to get it back up on the pull-up bar with 90 pounds hanging from me.
Yeah, that's serious.
So
too.
yeah. So now I'll just do lat pull down. I'll stay away from that.
Or you could just do the pull up or the chin up without any weight strapped to you.
Yeah.
That's what you mean, right?
Yeah, but a lot of guys, again, at 50, what you would do is you'd be like, well, I'm 50, I can't do that anymore. And you paint yourself into a corner with an excuse that really is just an excuse. The future really is now. And if you're listening to my voice and you're 50, 60, 70, you can run, you can be a triathlete, you can lift weights. And these are the keys to staying young. For testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, it really is, motion is the lotion. You have to keep moving. And your life force, I saw before I came on at the break, you were sitting and you were interviewing, and what did you do? You left and you walked around this brisk day. New study just came out, Medscape said 5-minute walk will undo like an hour of sitting. So just go walk around for 5 minutes every hour. That alone, increases your life force, and people tell right away, your skin, your eyes, the tone of your voice, that you're not a zombie in front of a screen for 8 hours. And so just simple things can make a huge difference. But yeah, the insiders that we were talking about earlier and the secrets, that's the one good thing about the information age. this stuff is at your fingertips, and it's right here in Charlottesville.
You're
So it's-
getting props from viewers and listeners. Carol Thorpe watching the program. She's the queen of Jack Jewett, which is a district here in Albemarle County. She says, Jerry and Dr. Sean, my 75-year-old ex-music teacher and mentor from high school, was a 6 days a week health-conscious guy in the 70s and maintained it for what has been over 40 years. It's a way of life with him, and you should see him today. He looks amazing and could bury a guy at least 20 years his junior. More comments coming in for Dr. Sean. Jerry, please ask your guest, this is from Tyler, the value or lack thereof of ice baths.
Oh,
They
I
are
like-
all the rage right now on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm glad to see these things have like gone full cycle over the last 100 years. You know, like keto and Atkins, and
Is it a fad?
you could go back to the 1700s of the founding fathers, and you could actually see them talking about, you know, their farm animals and don't feed them like grains, or if you want to fatten them up, give them grains. You know, so we know this intuitively, and ice baths is kind of in the mix, right? So
Is it a fad?
No, it's not a fad.
But you buy the ice bath?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes. So we don't have time to kind of dip into it today, maybe another time, but that was part of my journey. So prior to discovering a lot of these high-level therapies for regeneration and very rapid healing, permanent healing, inducing collagen and blood flow, that, you know, after 18, you don't make any more new collagen. But if you're a skin specialist, if you're an ortho, if in sexual health, all these different fields are using this type of medicine to grow 10, 20 years younger. So it's a really exciting time. But back to the ice bath, yeah, that was a part of my journey. So what happened to me with 1.3 million adjustments that I did, I had pain everywhere in my body. So I did hot yoga 5 times a week. I got deep into meditation, and you have to meditate if you're going to get in 20 pounds of ice. Now,
Yeah.
20 pounds of ice is not necessary. So a lot of the athletes here at the local school and professional athletes, what the research shows is you only really need about 40 degrees, 45 degrees. You don't have to go.
So you're talking cold water.
Yeah, you don't have to go like ice,
Okay.
right? But there's like Wim Hof, like he's the big ice guy, right?
Okay.
But what it does is it reduces inflammation, and again, you have to be almost in a meditative state to be in that, because the shivers kick in about minute 7, and you just kind of have to let yourself feel like I've never died, but you just have to let it in. That's how it works, because if you fight it at all, it's over. You're just going to be really shivering very bad. But to answer the question, yes, long runs, heavy lifts, that type of thing. Other than, you want to have safety about it, you might want to have someone around you to take a look at you and make sure you're okay. Start off with cold showers, and obviously we're not prescribing or anything here today,
Sure.
but just general health information. You can fact check everything I'm saying via Google and the like. But yeah, start off with a cold shower. You probably wouldn't be able to take that longer than like 30 seconds. But very soon, you start with an inch or 2 in the bath, and then you can build up. And then when you get out, yes, what I did with the meditation and the hot yoga and the like, I would come home at a pain level of about 8 for my overuse injuries, and I have to pay my mortgage. My body has to work. So I would do this nightly. And by the time I was done, I was at a pain level of about 1. So self-myofascial release, then meditation, ice baths, and it does work.
1.3 million. He did 1.3 million adjustments personally. That is impressive.
It's a lot.
When you're done with a day of adjustments, we're talking day like 5 or 6 in a row. Put in perspective what your body's feeling.
Well, I was a speaker. I was with an organization called Hallelujah Acres, and they're like in raw foods and that type of regimen. So I started off my career really speaking, kind of piddling, adjusting, and then I bought my own practice and opened that. So I'm trying to think, I was like 28, I think, when I started. And
So young guy.
yeah, and I was probably, I took that practice from about 90 or so patient visits a week to 350 patient visits a week in 6 months.
That's a success story.
So when I was 6 months in, I was hurting like everywhere because you don't quite have your biomechanics down.
Right.
So you do silly things just because you're young and you can muscle through it. Silly things like, why am I going to pick up 300 heads a day and just turn the head, like little tiny things. But yeah, that had me worried right off the bat. Like,
Can I sustain?
I'm 6 months in.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't teach me this. You do all this stuff to be successful. Very few people actually have what it takes to own their own business and be successful.
The physicality.
And then you get there, and can your body hold up? So yeah, lots of tricks I learned over the last couple decades.
More comments coming in for Sean. Dr. Sean Pilati, guys. Put the comments in the feed. Give them props in the feed. I'll relay it live on air. This one's from Spencer, and Spencer's talking about testosterone. And he says, lately, he goes, he's 47 years old, and he doesn't have the umph. He called it umph that he once had.
Yeah.
The umph in the gym, the umph to recover from a run or from playing basketball with the friends. I'm missing that umph or that pep to get up in the morning. Is that a lack of testosterone potentially for me?
It very well could be, and the only way to know for sure is to be tested. So you probably, females experience the same things. That sometimes is a hard test because you're testing at different times of the month, and sleep, before you even start supplementing or looking for professional advice there, get tested, and then from that point, go to sleep, get your 8 hours, go to sleep if you can at 10, 10:30, get up at the same time every day, manage your stress, meditate, get 3-4 times of cardio a week, 2-3-4 times of weight training a week, sun exposure, vitamin D, really important. All of that could take someone from a lower testosterone, maybe 200, 250 units, and get them all the way up to 800, simply from their lifestyle. So I have seen people supplement and not much changes. They still have the love handles, they're still tired, and if it's a fair amount of alcohol, not sleep, stressed, and you're eating plastic dead food, you want to look
This is a byproduct of that.
Yeah, you want to take a look at all that. So you can induce a higher testosterone. I had a long conversation with a friend of mine who's a PhD and works at a local university, and that's what he told me is he was like a Viking with his testosterone like 1200, and even he just abusing his body, you could see in a couple days it can come down. So that does change. But yes, your lack of umph, what's his name?
Umph and pep, and his name is Spencer.
Hey, Spencer. So yeah, your lack of umph could be that. You want to start with the basics first and then see where you go from there. Also, I'm a big proponent of peptides. So peptides can help the body induce testosterone production as well. But a lot of that comes from your muscle mass. So if you have good tone of the muscles, that all is a momentum thing, and that will greatly help that. So I'm not a big proponent of just supplementing to supplement, though it can be a good tool in your bag.
What's the daily supplement and vitamin regimen look like for you?
So again, I'm kind of a purist. I'm
Okay.
not huge on supplements. I'm just really big on food.
Okay.
And with that being said, if you're just eating standard food, it's going to be devoid of a lot of nutrients, and the studies have shown organic versus standard food could be 3 times as much difference in your food. So less is more. I'll give you an example of today. I'm actually doing a little bit of a weight loss thing as I start shredding, getting ready for the spring. And there are some great things out there to help reduce your appetite. So I'm doing some of that right now. So right now I'm actually doing intermittent fasting. And for me, I'm about 190 pounds. By the time I'm done, I'll probably be down to like 181, 180, something.
Was that your preferred walk-around weight? 181?
When COVID started, I got away from running.
Okay.
And I got more into lifting.
So you got heavier.
I gained 15 pounds of muscle.
So, wow, you were 210?
No, I mean, I was like 175.
Okay, so
and
now
then
that's
I
why
gained
you're
15 pounds of
Okay.
muscle. And you just have to gain weight to gain muscle. Again, when we talk about knee health and that kind of thing as a runner, now I'm kind of going back to a little more running.
So you want to be lean?
A little bit.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good thing to change things and go through cycles. I think that's a very good thing.
And that's kind of what I'm looking at for this point of my life is lean. Lean to play the sports I play. I play a lot of racket sports. As someone who's 5'8", I can feel the addition of 8 to 10 pounds on my frame. 8 to 10 pounds on someone that's clocking 150 is, 5-6% of weight. And I can feel that when I'm fluctuating 8 to 10 pounds. So I like lean. I also notice when I'm lean and I'm at a preferred walk around of like $153, I'm sleeping better. The back is less achy. The knees are less achy, like you've highlighted. Commenters are talking on the feed about omega-3 fatty acids and fish oils. If you utilize either to help with your diet on a daily basis, and if you could offer perspective on this.
Sure.
And this is coming from Sally, a question for that she has for a diet for her husband.
Great. Yeah, I like the product that's out there called Udo's Oil. So
Okay.
Udo's Oil has like all your fats that you need. And yes, Americans are definitely deficient. So for supplements for me, I'll cycle through like magnesium, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, a lot of sleep issues. There's a good product out there called Calm, but definitely most Americans are deficient in magnesium. So start there. It's amazing. You have an arugula salad, you have some blueberries, you put some Udo's oil or other types of oils on your salad. It doesn't have to be hard supplementation per se. And you'll double your energy. If you're having any takeaway from our interview today, what would you do with double the energy?
Oh, it'd be wonderful.
People see that right away.
Yeah.
We just met last week, but I appreciate it. You're like, oh, I got a good first impression. People,
Yeah.
that's your job. That's your promotions. Is your spouse attracted to you? That's your kids look up to you.
Yeah.
Like, it's number one. And so when you do these things, it doesn't take a lot. It actually takes less. In my case today, I had a chicken breast because I had some protein. I want to get about 180 grams of protein to 200 grams of protein a day. And that's, a nice rule of thumb per your body weight.
What's that food-wise? Put that perspective with actual food on a plate.
So I generally have a big salad. That could be arugula, that could be spinach, that could be mixed greens, whatever. I have blueberries every day with that. I don't use a lot of dressing because I use the blueberries or other berries as like just almost like a vinaigrette kind of
Sure.
thing. And I'll use different oils in with that. And I'm just kind of a boring person. I could eat, not everyone's like that. I could eat the same thing day in and day out. But if it's a work day, like today I'm coming here, I want to be a little bit hungry, though there are many things you can do that you don't have to feel any hunger. But if your diet, and my diet is about 75% raw foods. So,
Wow.
Yeah, so 70% raw foods, and I leave the cooked portion more for the evening. Now I say that, but protein, that could be salmon, that could be chicken. Today I had chicken. And then once a week I might have a steak. I was a vegan for a long time, so that's something else we can get into another day. My dad has his first heart attack when he was 40, and my grandfather died of a heart attack.
So that scared the hell out of you.
Yeah, so I was a vegan for 6 years, and it did help with cholesterol. It helped with a number of other things. And personally for me, and everyone has to do their research and figure out where they are with things, but a plant-based diet is the way to go, and then using that protein sparingly. And that's a lot like a Mediterranean or Asian diet.
Sean's dropping knowledge, guys. Dr. Sean Pilati, one of the newest team members at Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine. Your questions and comments and perspective, welcome on the talk show. This one's coming from Laura Sherling. Can you have your guest talk about sleep and the importance of it? I read something online, and then I followed up with some podcast research. And Jerry, no, it wasn't your podcast, that the longer you sleep, the longer you live. Ask the doctor to put that in perspective.
Yeah, sleep's number one.
It's
more
more
than
the diet?
More than diet.
Really?
More than diet.
Did you hear that, guys?
You mess with your sleep, it's
More than diet and exercise?
more than diet.
So 8 hours? Do you get
really
8 hours
don't-
every night?
I don't need that. So if I eat and live in the way I just said, I can get by just fine with 5 or 6.
Okay.
But
That's kind of what I'm at.
Yeah, I think, like I said, when you eat raw foods to that amount, it's so much hydration and nutrients that a lot of times you're not deficient in anything, so you go right to sleep, you wake right up, and that's probably the more important thing is you don't change it. Don't change it. So, you know, you had a late party, your kids have to get up early, like try to, usually like today I got up at 5:30, I had to get up early this morning, so I'll have no problem going to bed at 10:30. And then, you know, if I'm out with my fiance tonight, it's Friday night, no kids, so we might push to 11, but I'll be passing out at 11. I don't fight that. I just tell her, hey, time to go to sleep, and I go to sleep. So that's really the big thing with sleep. The first thing I got adjusted today, Dr. Ben, thank you for the adjustment.
Good job, Dr. Ben.
Yeah, fantastic. The first thing people say is I'm sleeping better. A lot of that has to do with cerebral spinal fluid flow. And that's the very first thing our patients say is I'm sleeping better. Now, when you do that, is the effects of chiropractic the adjustment, or is that digestion? Is that you're in a relaxed autonomic state, that your hormones and everything else go better as a result of that? It's hard to say. But if you're sleeping better, your testosterone, I just told you, everything snaps into gear, everything's better. You want to look, are you sleeping on your face with your head cranked around? I'm a side sleeper, evidenced by the wrinkle in my head. So I snore, and I don't do a CPAP or anything like that. If you need that type of testing, you want to be tested. Again, if you're holding weight or inflammation, as we get older, things loosen up a bit, and that can be dangerous. It can affect your health in all kinds of different ways. So yeah, there are products out there. Again, we can get into this another time. I think it's called Ring. So there's a tech out there in your phone that will manage sleep as a metric. And you don't want to be too tied to that, because I think people get a little legalistic with that, and then they get really paranoid.
Yeah.
But metric's a good thing, and it will help you as a report card, because sleep is number one. Yeah, definitely.
Look at that. How about two more questions for you? Diet versus exercise, exercise versus diet. Top priority.
Yeah.
What's the saying? You can't out-exercise a bad diet?
Exactly. Walker, Norman Walker, I want to say his name. He is the mentor to the Juice Man. Remember the Juice Man?
Oh, yeah.
So
I used to juice.
Yeah, Norman Walker was his mentor. So that's going back like in the 40s. And they had like a $2,000 juicer. A lot of the juice bars would have them. And then the Juice Man came out with something, used the Champion juicer and stuff like that. But he lived, I believe, to be over 100. He was still speaking in his 90s, well over 100. So I think 109 is what he was living to. And he was a thin man, probably from calorie restriction. And calorie restriction is the one thing in all mammals that can extend life 20 to 30%. So I want to be strong.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be 140 pounds me. Maybe I'll give up 10 years of my longevity. But to answer your question, he thought, Norman Walker, who probably knows what he's talking about, he thought that, you move and move and move, and a person who's on the go, could have the cigar and have the whiskey, and the object
I like both
of
those.
motion stays in motion kind of thing. So I personally would say, diet is almost more important, just because I'm a fairly active person already. So if I didn't go to the gym, you just need to start something that will give you momentum. So I think they're both very equal. Oxygenation of your brain and your hormones and everything else, that's dependent on motion. So yeah, even passive motion, just piddling here and there, without going to the gym, it's very, very important. People, Okinawans and the like, they're not, Sly Stallone, but they're some of the longest lived people on the planet, and they just have a lifestyle of movement. And then, again, we don't have time to get into it today, but relationship is so important. So if you really want to know the number one study for the one thing that will extend the quality and length of your life, it's the quality of your intimate relationships. So the studies are very, very clear on that. So you really can't be out of balance with any one thing, you know.
I like it, dude. This
Yeah.
is he's fantastic. One of the newest team members at Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine. Put in perspective all the positive you guys are doing at Dr. Wagner's practice.
Yeah, I'm so excited because they've been so busy over there.
So busy.
They can't get the word out. So many miracles happen on a daily basis that a lot of times, you know, you're not going to have a camera in someone's face. Hey, by the way, that's my job. So my job is to really get the word out and educate people in the practice, educate the community about, you know, maybe you don't become a practice member, you're not with us, that's okay. You know, we just want to be able to help in any way possible. And if you have the need, we're here. But like you do a lot of things altruistically, and it comes back. So we want to go ahead and just help in any way we can. If we can't help you, we want to be able to send you someone that can.
You just significantly exceeded my expectations, and they were already very high to begin with.
Wow, man.
No, I mean, fabulous interview. I sincerely mean that. And what we're going to try to do with these interviews with Dr. Sean is we're going to try to take current events, stuff that's in the news cycle, that's pertaining to health and diet and medicine and quality of life, and we're going to localize it with Dr. Sean. And we're going to talk trends and storylines that we're seeing on TV or hearing on the radio, reading about, seeing online, and we can ask Dr. Sean about these trends. And we humanize it, we localize it, and we personalize it with him. And I think it's a way to debunk stigmas or to offer insight on topics that we don't know much about. And he is an expert and a professional in his field, and not only does it for work, but as you can tell, the dude's jacked. He's living this on a daily basis right here. So it's a Friday night. You said no kids tonight.
No kids
that means
tonight.
You and the fiance, date
Yeah.
night? Is that right?
Date night, yeah.
Any plans? What are you guys doing? To be determined?
I have a little cottage in downtown Fredericksburg.
Oh, very
so
nice.
maybe we just stroll around, catch some dinner,
I love it.
maybe a play. I don't know.
I love it.
Something.
Love it. I'm grateful for your time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're fantastic, and I love what you built here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I can tell that you've had ample practice in front of a camera and a microphone. I look forward to doing this again.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Guys, Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine. Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine, changing people's lives just through counsel and conversation and communication in medicine and adjustments and attention. And Dr. Sean is just a fantastic addition to that team. Next week on the show, we have a busy slate of shows. Monday, we'll have Woody Fincham, the appraiser on the program. See you, Sean. You have a good one. Woody Fincham worked for Albemarle County one time as an assessor. Today, he's in private business working for himself as a real estate appraiser. We're going to talk with Woody Fincham about the 13% increase in assessments that houses have had in Albemarle County. What to do about it? Are the assessments legit? Is it truly market value? How's this going to impact your bills? That topic on Monday's edition of Real Talk. And I'll tell you what, on the I Love CVille show next Monday, we're going to continue to follow the storylines that matter. If you haven't realized, the stuff we talk about here turns into news on the legacy media, TV, print, and radio. So we'll continue to follow the news and cover it closely on the I Love CVille show. Judah Wickhauer did a great job all week long. My name is Jerry Miller, and it's the I Love CVille show on a Friday afternoon. You guys have a good afternoon. Take care. Sean was great.